You want to know a thing that happened this year? I got married. That was a thing that happened. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony, and welcome to this month's off-the-cuff, off-topic video. Now, as some of you may know, I came to the US on the K1 fiancé visa, which basically meant that I had to get married within 90 days of arriving in the country. And that doesn't really lend itself very well to having a proper memorable day. Don't get me wrong, loved my wedding day, it was great, but it wasn't a wedding. It wasn't a proper celebration with all our family and friends. So the idea was always that one day we were going to have a proper wedding, and back in January we finally got to do exactly that. We finally got to have our special day. And seeing as the missus and I are both completely Star Wars mad, of course we found ways to inject Star Wars into our special day, and that's what this video is about. We're going to be talking about our Star Wars wedding, the little ways that we managed to bring Star Wars into our special day. So if you've always been looking for ways to bring your favorite movie franchise into your special day in ways that are tasteful and yet noticeable to people who are in the know, you may want to stick around because there's some good ideas here. With all that being said, I'm going to be part-timing it this week. I'm going to hand things off to Podcast Tony, who is with the wife and will take you through our Star Wars wedding. Enjoy. Hello there, Podcast Tony here, joined by wife.
Hi, I'm wife.
Hello, wife. So, run us through the original idea for the original wedding. Obviously, it was Warwick Castle.
Yep. So, the original plan was to get married at Warwick Castle in 2020.
And then the funniest thing happened.
And we were going to have a castle theme, so each table was going to be a different castle that we had been to together. And we were going to have photos of us at the castle, because when we lived in England, our thing was to try and visit a different castle every weekend, because he had usually Friday through Sunday off, and I only had school during the week, so we would go on a road trip, check out a new castle, and that was kind of our thing. And believe it or not, when you tell castles you're having a wedding, sometimes they'll give you a free tour and give you free stuff.
Yeah, that's a real, like top tip that we're giving away on the channel right now. Like, if you like castles, or you like visiting castles, but you really can't afford it, just call them and tell them you're thinking of having a wedding there, and they'll literally roll the bloody red carpet out for you. It's brilliant.
I mean, to be fair, we were actually planning a wedding, so we weren't lying about it, but
we weren't planning a wedding at some of the castles that we went to.
That's true.
And I seem to remember we had, for the table numbers at the original wedding, we had like these sort of silhouette plastic cutouts of castles that we'd been to. And I liked the concept of that, except some of the castles didn't really translate very well. Like, for instance, Windsor Castle was just a big square.
Yeah, I didn't have a Cricut at the time, so I tried to stencil on the letters, so they were all out of order, and they were a little blurry, so the whole thing was just kind of a mess. We would have figured it out eventually, I'm sure, but first you don't succeed, try again, so we tried again. In 2024, January, we decided to do a Star Wars wedding.
We kind of pivoted away from the ultra-formal look that we were going for, because it's not us. I think sometimes we would like for it to be us. We'd like to be like super classy and super formal, but we're not. We're not classy people. We're not formal people. We just want to have a good time. So that was the idea there.
Yeah.
And obviously, with us both being massive Star Wars fans, I don't remember if it was me or you that first broached the idea of, do we want to do a Star Wars wedding? I think it might have been you. I think you might have brought it up.
I think I saw a Reddit post where someone had done a Star Wars wedding and they had some pretty cool centerpieces and stuff. My main concern about doing a Star Wars wedding was that it was going to come out tacky. And this isn't to say or put anyone else down for their wedding. To each their own. If you wanted to officiate in an Obi-Wan costume, that's awesome. I think it's really cool. I love looking at photos like that. I don't really think that would go down well with my family or your family.
No, probably not.
So we wanted to find something in the middle, Star Wars but classy.
And I remember there was a wedding photo that you showed me, I think it was on Pinterest or something, that had the shot of the couple in the aisle with the lightsaber archway down each side where like all the guests are holding the lightsaber up, and that's basically how you pitched the idea to me, like this. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's kind of cool. I see what you're going for.
And we definitely stole that idea.
Absolutely, 100%, and I like ours better. So the idea then became, how do we do a Star Wars wedding, but do it in a way where it's more like interpretive rather than super on the nose? So rather than having people in actual Star Wars costumes, what are some like subtle ways that we can inject Star Wars into our wedding?
I think we did a pretty good job. Not to pat myself on the back, because it was mostly DIY, but I feel like we had a pretty good balance of Star Wars but classy. We had lightsaber boutonnieres. You had Rey's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Tony 3D printed them himself. I had bought some gold filament for our place card holders, which we also designed and created. The groomsmen all had Anakin's lightsaber. We were originally going to do different lightsabers for them as well, but Mace Windu's refused to 3D print.
Yeah, it wouldn't. And then Luke Skywalker's printed, but it was missing like a massive chunk of it, and I couldn't figure out where it was going.
Yeah, basically I had taken a free lightsaber pattern, 3D pattern, and reduced it down by like 300% to make it boutonniere size, and it didn't quite translate well for some of them, but Anakin's turned out alright, Rey's turned out okay, and I think we had Sidious for Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle had Sidious, and that came out really, really cool. I was actually quite jealous of his, until I got mine in hand, because mine was slightly bigger, because you scaled it up for me, and I really liked how mine came out.
Yeah, so I think those were good, and then for myself and then my two bridesmaids, we had lightsaber bouquet holders, which I actually bought on Etsy, just because we didn't have a 3D printer at the time and I didn't want to wait till the last minute and not be able to get them, so I bought those in December. I'll leave the link actually for those down in the description, because I think they're really awesome. The seller was amazing, because he originally only sold the Ahsoka set with the small lightsaber and the large lightsaber. Reached out to him and he was able to get me 2 of the small lightsabers and 1 of the large lightsabers in my own personal listing, which I think was really cool. So I was able to have 2 of the smaller Ahsoka lightsabers for my bridesmaids and the larger one for myself, and I think they turned out really, really good. So I will leave that down in the description if you are interested and want to check it out.
On the subject of the 3D printing stuff, I think it's hilarious that we 3D printed all that stuff for the wedding, like all of the place card holders, they all came out perfectly. All of the boutonnieres, yeah, you know what, they fought us a little bit, but they worked. We got them to do what they wanted. And then the second I go and 3D print something that's like actually for me, like actually for my Black Series stuff, and the 3D printer just refuses to print anything. I don't even know. It's at least a month and a half, but I just can't figure out what I've done to the printer it's not working.
So another thing we wanted to incorporate kind of subtly was the music. I know when you think Star Wars music, it's pretty on the nose. But
You'd be amazed what you can get away with.
So my main thing, especially when I go to weddings, I have a tendency to get a little bit overstimulated, especially during dinner when they're playing music with lyrics in it. Everyone's trying to talk over each other because they're trying to talk around the other tables. They're trying to talk over the music. It just gets really loud and a little bit obnoxious.
So you built up a playlist of some of the best Star Wars piano covers that we could find, and I think it went over really well. I think the people who knew about the Star Wars thing and were more sort of switched on to the idea, they would have noticed straight away, oh, this is a piano cover of XYZ theme from Star Wars. But I think people who maybe didn't know too much about Star Wars music would just think, oh, well, this is quite nice music we're listening to. It's gentle piano music. You can listen to the person next to you. You can hear yourself think. So everybody won.
Yeah, I think that was a huge win. And we also had Star Wars music through the whole ceremony. The bridal party walked down to a piano cover of the Force theme. I walked down to a piano cover of Across the Stars.
We walked out to... Well,
that wasn't a cover. That was just the one from the movie.
Yeah, it was the Yavin ceremony ending theme from the first Star Wars. It was really, really cool.
Yes, yeah, that was good.
Oh, and we came out for our, like, what do you call it? The big reveal, where you come out as man and wife for the first time. We came out to the Imperial March, which was amazing.
Yes, another piano cover of the Imperial March. So I will actually leave my Spotify playlist in the description as well if you want to check out the music that we had. A lot of it was from Patrick Pietschman. He's here on YouTube. He does some awesome piano covers.
So I think the biggest way that we incorporated Star Wars into our day was with the decor. We had a lot of very, very cool Star Wars decor, a lot of which was handmade by you.
Yeah.
So we'll start off by talking about our seating chart.
Yeah, so took me, what would you say, about a week working on it every night, painting all of the different planets onto this canvas. I bought the canvas like a year ago from Hobby Lobby. I think it was on clearance. I think I got it for like $15. It was like 36 by 40. It's huge. We got a sheet of acrylic to go over top, and then I cut out with my Cricut all of the planet names, people who were going to sit at the planets, and I cut out a cute little Yoda.
I love the little Yoda.
And it said, "Find your seat, you must." Another little subtle nod, I think, that was fun. I think people appreciated it. But with the seating chart, of course, came table numbers, which were planet names.
Yeah, and the bit of the table numbers that I got to do, because I have to, we're being subtle and we're being classy, but I saw an opportunity to splurge out some Star Wars knowledge. So for each of the planets on each of the tables, I wrote a little blurb on the back of each one of like where the planet appears in the franchise, characters who were born on that planet, which installments you can see the planet in, and a little blurb about what the environment's like, what kind of things happen there. I enjoyed writing those because it's a good opportunity to flex some Star Wars knowledge on people.
Yeah, for the actual table numbers, took pictures of it, sent it to a print shop in the size that we needed, and then I bought some acrylic circles on Amazon, pasted it over the top, so all of the table numbers had the actual painting or an image of the painting that I had done for the seating chart. Just to make it a little bit easier, if somebody couldn't remember the name, they could be like, hey, that's the planet I saw on the seating chart, and find it that way. So we did the painting on one side, and on the reverse side was the print off of the little blurb that you wrote up.
And I think one of the funny things that I'm remembering from the day is the people that I worked with were very cross when they read the back of their blurb, and they were on Dagobah, I think, and I had mentioned that there was no intelligent life on Dagobah, and they got all mad about that. It was really funny.
Each table had a different centerpiece, and each centerpiece was based on characteristics of the planet.
Yeah.
So, and it was obviously interpretive. We're not going to be able to get loth cats or anything like that.
Right.
And I wanted floral. I love floral centerpieces. Fake flowers, of course, because I'm cheap. But
well, I mean, that, and we were buying this stuff like weeks and maybe even months out. It was literally as if we were ever out and we were in Hobby Lobby, you'd see like a plant in their fake plant section. You go, oh, that would be good for such and such planet. And I think we were doing that. We must have been doing that in October because we were considering changing one of the planets to Cetos because Ahsoka was coming out, and we both really liked that planet, and that had a lot to do with the planet choice as well. We picked planets that we really liked. Like we had Coruscant, we had Lothal on there as well because obviously Rebels is my favorite. We had Mustafar on there because Revenge of the Sith is your favorite.
Yeah, and then I mostly picked planets I knew I could interpret well into a centerpiece. So they all had the base of flowers. Most of them had a little bit of white, except for obviously planets like Mustafar where you wouldn't see white at all.
No.
And then greenery was pretty general, but I tried to color code it to stuff you'd see on the planets. Like Lothal ended up being one of my favorites, I think, because I had these little wheat balls, I guess. I don't know what else you'd call them. Because in my head, when I looked at those, I saw big, tall, cone-looking rocks on Lothal. I saw those, and when I looked at them, that's what I saw. I immediately thought, okay, that's Lothal. On Tatooine, I had two little suns in the middle. I cut the toothpicks a little too short, so they weren't as high up.
Well,
the flowers as I was hoping.
The suns were setting, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why they were like sort of dark, sunny colors, because they're going down.
Yeah, I sat down and I drew every single centerpiece, and then I did a digital rendering that I put together with a free version of Photoshop, and then once I had the digital renders ready to go, I showed them to you and got your stamp of approval.
Yeah, I signed off. I did the husband thing where I was just like, yes, I agree, it looks great.
But yeah, so we put together all of the centerpieces. The flow of the photos and videos have been going by as we've been talking about it, so just kind of have a look at what we did. One of my favorites, I think, was Dathomir.
Oh, Dathomir came out great. There were people actually fighting over Dathomir, like wanting to take it home with them.
Yeah, we let his best man take it home, though.
Yeah.
He was really excited about it. Dagobah was also one of my favorites. I got so excited about those swamp pieces at the top.
Looked great, yeah.
And Naboo, my mom ended up keeping that one because she loved it. We had the jewels hanging down to represent all the waterfalls on Naboo. So it's just small things like that where we were like, okay, this one thing is going to be representative of maybe one characteristic about the planet.
Yeah.
Crate had the red into the white, like when the speeders were going through the salts and revealing the red underneath.
I liked all the icy whites and blues that you had for Hoth. That looked really cool, I thought.
And then Coruscant, I think, was probably the most interpretive because there's no trees on Coruscant, but I did pure white for all of the flowers because it just felt really rich to me. And then we did a gold leaf all the way around the top because obviously Coruscant is the most expensive planet. Once you're on the surface, obviously.
So for another subtle little addition to the day, on our cocktail tables, we had these little lightsaber style, I don't even know what you would call them, because they weren't candles, they didn't have candles in them, but they were like candle holders that had those little balls in them.
They're clear vases, so we did tall clear vases that we bought for the original wedding.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Those were going to be our original centerpieces.
Oh, yeah.
Back when the dollar store still sold these kinds of vases, they don't sell them anymore, so we got really lucky. They were all $1. Anyway, we filled them with colored Orbeez and then had color changing submersible lights. So we had red and blue lightsabers. We had taken some ribbon, wrapped it around the bottom. Those were on all the cocktail tables, and I thought they were just more fun, less classy.
Yeah. And again, like if you know Star Wars really well, yeah, you'll probably look at them and go, oh, that's a lightsaber. I can see that's a lightsaber. But again, for people who weren't that into it, I feel like they weren't super intrusive, or they didn't stick out like something that didn't belong. They looked like they belonged there.
Yeah, and I think they turned out really cute, except for when my parents got home and came home to a floor full of Orbeez because they didn't empty the water out of the bucket before they left for the wedding.
So they just kept absorbing water, and then there was just more and more of them.
I think they're still finding Orbeez in their carpet, so I do feel a little guilty about that. But
I think it's too funny to feel guilty about.
my mom offered to put together those lightsaber centerpieces, so I let her, and maybe next time I'll have to supervise the water control on those.
I'm just glad it wasn't our house.
Yeah.
You know?
So on the topic of the bar area, that's where the lightsabers were, one of the main things we wanted to do was have a signature drink, and we also wanted to make sure that our corgi Tebow was included in the day.
Since he couldn't come to the wedding, he wasn't invited.
Right. So we created Tebow's Tasty Cocktails.
This was a result of a lot of drinking and experimentation at New Year's Eve, of just grabbing every piece of alcohol that was offered at the venue and just mixing them together in different ways, getting gradually more and more wasted until we found drinks that we liked, and then settling on a drink for me, a drink for you, and a drink for Tebow that was going to go on the bar, and you could choose to pick out one of our specialty cocktails.
So we had Not Your Mama's Blue Milk, which was your pick. It was vodka lemonade, Sprite, and blue curacao. My pick was Grogu's Glory.
Nice.
I had to have a green drink. Green is my favorite color. That was mine, a tequila drink with pineapple and a splash of orange and blue curacao to get that awesome lime green color. And then Tebow's pick was Sith Happens, which was just a strawberry margarita with a sugar rim for all of my unadventurous friends, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool that the drinks that we ended up settling on ended up being bright blue, bright green, and bright red. Again,
Which was intentional. We wanted them to look like lightsabers.
yeah, they came out looking like lightsaber colors.
I had many a Grogu's Glory, and they were delicious.
And I did see a lot of people getting them as well. They were because pretty hard to miss when someone's walking around with a fluorescent green drink.
Yes, yeah. And my favorite part of the whole sign was the little Tebow that I made in the corner. I took the best photo I could find of the Tebow from Return of the Jedi, and I pasted our little boy's face on there.
It came out looking really, really cool. It's Tebow cosplaying as Tebow. I love it.
It's just so cute. Everyone loved it. We made little mini versions of the menu for the cocktail tables because we only had 2 large framed ones on the bar.
Okay, so we need to talk about the lightsabers. The lightsabers, because I have to admit that the lightsabers was the one thing where I think we might be going a bit too far beforehand. Before the actual day itself, I was like, I'm not sure about this.
See, but I had a vision, okay? And I was not gonna let down the vision. I saw that one photo and I was like, I have to have a wedding photo like that. I also said that about a few other photos. I bought the Black Series Ahsoka lightsaber to have for our photos.
And I had my Count Dooku lightsaber as well that I've had for a couple of years.
And we left both of them at home, so we didn't get any photos of us together with our Black Series lightsabers, but that's okay.
We got everything else we wanted, you know. But the idea was to have these little basic toy lightsabers.
And having everyone sitting in the aisleway, grab one from underneath the seat, and then stand near the aisleway while we were walking back with them lifted up. I do wish they would have lifted them up a little bit higher. I think half of our photos are me ducking. I'm almost 6 foot. I'm 5'10 3/4", so some of them were a little bit low for me, but
I
they
didn't have a
still
problem
turned
with
out.
the height because I'm a very, very short person, but I did have an issue with the aisle being maybe half a foot too close together on either side. I think I could have done with it being just a little wider so I could get down there, because the dress was taking up a lot of space.
It is a big dress.
It was a
yeah.
very big dress. But then the best part about it is the party started and you've got these grown-ass adults going at each other with toy lightsabers.
Yes.
And I think I had at least 2 or 3 people tell me, it's a good thing there's no kids here, or all these would be broken, we wouldn't be able to play with them.
Some of them got broken anyway because people were fighting with them.
Oh my god, and my best man going haywire to Metallica at the end of the night, like hammering them away. It was our wedding, but for that little 5-minute period, it was Merrick's dance floor.
It was very good. Yeah, it was a really good time. I don't regret it at all. I think people who wouldn't normally go on the dance floor went out just so they could have a go with the lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
People asked if they could take them home, and of course we were like, yeah, because what are we going to do with 25 lightsabers at the end of the wedding?
Literally help yourself. Yeah, so I think the lightsabers, in spite of my previous hesitations, I feel like the lightsabers ended up being an absolute success. They were a big hit with everybody who was there.
I told you so.
Yeah, you did, and I should have listened to you. So, those were a lot of the obvious things, but the things that were obvious to us, the big things. We had a lot more like subtle nods. Like in the ceremony, you had a headdress that had 3 moons on it, and that was pretty cool because Naboo had 3 moons, and that's one of your favorite planets.
Yep. I think one detail that neither of us had really planned for, but I think turned out pretty good, was something that my mom actually surprised us with. My mom, she wasn't too keen on the Star Wars theme at first, but once I kind of finally got on board, and she got so on board, she bought us a specialty aisle runner that was so cute. It had a nice little blurb.
It was a proper little like Star Wars opening crawl, except it was like us.
Yeah.
It was an opening crawl for us.
Yeah, and it had half Rebel, half Empire symbol, which was basically what we had kind of gone for with our symbols. We had those for our place card holders. It was on our welcome sign. Tied in really well. I think it was really cool. Yeah, and I think it was just another one of those cute little tie-ins, because our ceremony wasn't too Star Wars themed besides the music. We did have little nods in our vows, and our officiant, who's one of my best friends, put together an awesome ceremony for us. He had a cute little nod to Star Wars at the end. He had a little Thrawn quote in there.
Yeah, had to get a quote in from Grand Admiral Thrawn. I loved that. That was cool.
He altered it a little bit to fit, but I think it turned out really good because nobody except for you would have known the difference anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and I loved it. He showed it to me before the ceremony and was just like, I know this is important to you. I know you care about accuracy and all that. I'm changing one word. Is that okay? And I was like, dude, this is great. I love this.
So yeah, I think altogether, the little nods, the more on the nose stuff, I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, and everybody seemed to have a really good time with it. Like, I think you've got grown-ass adults having lightsaber fights. You got me and my best man playing General Grievous and going at each other with the lightsabers as well.
I think if nothing else, everyone just kind of knew that it felt like us. Everyone knows that we like Star Wars. They know we collect Star Wars toys.
Yeah,
They know that's one of the main things that
we do together. Like,
right.
We do a lot of Star Wars stuff together. I think it would have felt more out of character for us to have had a wedding like the one that we were originally planning.
Yeah.
I know that's like big dream wedding, big fantasy castle, everyone's all dressed up and it's all very nice, but it's just not us.
I mean, obviously it's not the only thing our relationship is built on, but
No,
anyone
obviously.
who knows us knows that it's something we both enjoy together. So I think it was a good way to kind of represent who we are in our daily lives, not just for this one day where we, get to pretend like we're fancy people.
Yeah, we just got to pretend that everybody liked Star Wars. We were in a perfect world where everybody liked Star Wars.
If you don't like Star Wars, you liked Star Wars that day.
Yeah, and that's why I think that really made our wedding, and I loved it.
So hope you enjoyed looking at some of our photos, a little bit of our videos. I guess, you want to send it back to Office Tony?
Yeah, I better send it back to Office Tony before he gets grouchy. So there you have it. That was our Star Wars wedding. I know it's not the usual content that I put out here, but this isn't solely a Star Wars action figure channel. This is a Star Wars channel, and we did make the day pretty Star Wars cool, I thought. If you liked anything you saw, do please feel free to reach out. I'd be very happy to pass things over to my wife and let her explain how she made things or where she found things. And there are bits in the description down below where you can find some of the things that we ordered online for the special day. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I had an absolutely fantastic day on my wedding day. It was honestly probably the happiest day of my life. Absolutely loved it. People say that all the time. It's really cliche, but it is true. If you have a really, really great wedding, it is the best day of your life. So I would love to hear about the little ways that you managed to bring something that you're really passionate about into your big day, to my married viewers out there. Little ways that you were able to bring those in and really express that little side of your personality, because it was really, really important to me as it turned out. Let me know down in the comments. I'll get back to each and every one of you. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. That was our Star Wars wedding. You may subscribe when ready. You want to come for a cuddle? You want to get in on this action? You want to come here? I was going to have you be in the video, but no. You don't want to be in the video. You sit over there and sulk.